guys? Jason Guyman here with King of Pressure Wash and Pressure Wash Help. And tonight I got an awesome story up for you all to hear, that you can do this stuff. And this is what is awesome. And so with that, I've had a awesome week. We just got back from out west and it was an epic trip. And with that, I've got to kind of see what I want to do a little bit of who am I, that kind of stuff, which is always good to do, vacation, stuff like that. And with that, what do we have going on? Who do we have here on the live? Let me hear it. We got Max. Dwell time. We're going to start off with a question right out of the get-go. Dwell time on vinyl siding. The max dwell time, well, that depends on how hot it is, right? If it's 150 degrees outside, it's not going to be very long. Otherwise, usually about 5-10 minutes is a great place. But other than that, who else do we have in the live? I want to see some comments here. Mr. Freddie, he was on our live call. So I have a mentorship call every Thursday morning. And we talked about Adam here. And I'm like, I want to have you on. And so it's awesome what we can do here. So we got Big Rob. You remember Big Rob, Adam, from the huge convention? He's not so big. He was a little short guy. He was at the convention or huge convention last year. Don't
Yeah,
let
I
him
think
drive.
I remember. Yeah, I
Yep.
met a lot of people at the huge convention.
Awesome. Um, Hello, Jason, checking in from Long Island, New York. How you doing there? So, um, so Adam put in the group that he had started. He had started going full time right at 1 year ago. Actually, I think it's tomorrow. Either tomorrow or the next day. That he was at 1 year, and he showed us his numbers, and it's pretty awesome. And I want to show you that yes, you can do $100,000 in your very first year. And so it is something that is doable, and I got proof of it here. This is somebody that is, he's not in, he's in an area that has good stuff, but he's not in no Nashville. He's outside of Nashville, but he's pretty far outside of Nashville. And so this is the cool thing that we're going to kind of go through of how he got there and what all he's done to be able to get there. And so this is what we're going to talk about tonight. And so with that, how many people in here, how far or how have you been doing this past year? Let me know. I want to hear in the comments, how have you been doing this year? Are you on goal? Are you on target? Is your target a big target of 100,000 and you're 50% there? Is your goal, 250,000 and you're on target of that? Let me hear I want to hear what some of your all's target goals are this year. If you would put it in the comments, I'd appreciate that, because I just want to show, I want to show you that you can do this. This is something that it can be done. A lot of people think that, oh, I can't do this. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too whatever. I had a guy reach out and he's like, I'm only 21. And that's an amazing spot to be, man. I wish I knew half of what I knew when I was 21 then. If I would have done some things, it would have been awesome and I could have done amazing things. And so that is definitely something that, oh, my computer's being stupid again. So that is definitely something that I want to do. So 106, Jason put, that's awesome. My second season, and I've been hitting my goals pretty much. And that's awesome. When we set goals, we can hammer down on that. We have 14 years of industry pressure washing experience here. We want to start residential. Any advice? Yes, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I will get to 45,000 of my $75,000. Awesome. Keep pushing, keep doing it. On target, exponentially increasing each month. And Freddie telling some stories. This week he did a $2,000 week. It was the most he's ever done, and that's an amazing thing. Last month he only did $2,000. So those are some amazing things. That is what there. Chad Cox, when you come into Raleigh, I will be, if you go to kingofpressurewash.com/dates or pressurewash.com, and I just lost him. I can't be doing that. I'll go back here. You can go to dates and you will be able to see that there at that point. So tell me, Adam, who are you? Where are you from? Do you got any family? That kind of stuff.
So my name's Adam Wonder. Business is Wonder Wash. I live in southern Middle Tennessee, Winchester. It's basically the middle of nowhere. Um, I've got a wife, no kids. We like doing stuff outdoors. It's a lake town. We like going out there doing stuff like that. I started pressure washing 2.5, 3 years ago, part time, and like Jason was saying, I took it full time about almost this exact time last year. Um,
So
so
when you were part time, what was some? How much was like the year before that? How much have you done it by that point?
I have no idea because I did everything out of paper books. Like I could maybe guess, but I was pricing way under. Like I was laughing with my brother, he's my lead technician now. The first One of the first jobs we ever did was a church, and it was probably 400 linear feet of gutter whitening, and we did it for $225.
You got a great paid workout, is what you got there at that point.
Yeah, exactly. My shoulders are still sore.
Just thinking about 400 feet of linear that just makes my shoulders hurt. And so, when you went started, what were some things that what made you decide, hey, I want to go full time?
Well, I had a pretty good full time job, and it was something I went to school for. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, and I was working in automotive, doing some pretty fun stuff. Working with robots and things that I enjoy, but just the culture of that job, it just didn't fit. I mean, it was your salary and you get paid well. I was getting paid about $70,000, but you're working 60 hours a week with no thank you and 10 days off for the entire year, which gets sucked up by manufacturing shutdowns. So you basically don't have any time off.
So when you went full time, what were some things that? And so you went full time in July, which isn't always the best month to go full time because we learned that July slows down. But that's all right. You jumped and went with it. And so, what were some things that kind of went through your head of? What should I? Why? Because I always say the two hardest things is one going full time, and the second is getting off the truck. And we'll talk about getting off the truck, but first off, what are some things when we went full time that we had to overcome to think about to overcome for going full time?
Oh, just the financial security. I mean, I went from getting a steady paycheck every single Friday to I got nothing on the books Thursday and looking at an empty week ahead of me, and then it's just you just keep I don't know keep doing the small things, and it just somehow every week kept filling up, money kept coming. So
So you did I've got the numbers here. I may put them up here, but we did a $19,600 month in September. Was that a pretty good boost for you to say, hey, this could work and I can make money doing this here?
oh, that was massive. That one was a a big chunk of that was a little bit of commercial work that I did. First commercial job ever. I got a small hospital from the first yard sign I ever put out. I stuck it behind the hospital, hoping to get some doctors, and the facilities manager called me. So, and we did well. I quoted it right, and we did. I can't remember exactly, upper $300 an hour on site, and I was like, wow, like if we could do more of these, this is a real thing.
I'm gonna put them up here if you don't mind. I think
That's
this is
fine. Go
easy.
ahead.
So right here, you can see these numbers here. So we kind of went over this morning, and I'm going to hit on it some more here. So you can see that he did 106,000 over the last 12 months. He did 147 jobs with an average ticket of $723, 260 quotes with a close rate of 57%. And so you can see here that he did have some slow months, right? October kind of sucked. When he first started in July, kind of sucked. Obviously, January always sucks, even down that far. And so you can see that it's not always glamorous and what it's made out to be. But what I want to hit on here is now you did these numbers and we talked about this morning. Now, did you work like 60 hours a week and did you do like all this work to try to be able to get this, or about how many hours a week was you working to be able to do this 100,000 in?
Hours a week. It depends on what you add in from just like the stuff that I'm doing at home, but actually washing 4 days a week and not a full day. Really, I mean, we're we start at we start at 9. We start pretty late, and we're usually done by 4 every day or 5.
Yeah, and so this is pretty easy, laid back work, and this isn't something that we're killing ourselves even to get to $100,000. And so with that, you can see here that I want to point out one other thing here. You can see here that on this here that we're not when we have a high average ticket, we don't need to close a lot of jobs, right? We don't need to do a bunch of jobs. When our average ticket is 1,200 and we get 16 jobs, we were at almost $20,000. Even down here, when we were at 19 jobs and we had a little bit lower ticket, we did only 14,000. Where when we did 22 jobs and we had an average ticket of $1,000, now we're at $23,000. And
Yeah.
so this is something that is important of why we need to raise our average ticket. When you said that you did these jobs when you were earlier, you wasn't making any money because you were doing 200 jobs and it probably took you just as long all day and only made $200. Where this is the importance of why we need to raise our tickets, why we need to be able to get that average ticket up, because when we do that, then this is how we can hit the bigger numbers. It's not that we're doing more work, it's actually we're doing less work and we're closing more jobs. And so this is a great question that Freddie asked. Adam, how were you getting jobs in the beginning and how are you getting jobs now?
The very, very beginning, back when I was part time, was I didn't believe in yard signs, so I didn't put any yard signs out until about when I started Jason's program, uh, spring, like 15 months ago. So not that long ago. Um, I had a couple signs maybe, and then the rest of it was just Facebook and calling people that I know. But that well ran out pretty quick, and I did a couple of Facebook ads that got me somewhere. But it wasn't until I really started hammering yard signs and then getting in the local Facebook neighborhood groups and just being a presence in there. I mean, I've got a badge, I got a conversation starter badge or whatever in like 3 or 4 different groups. And then you get a lot from there. And I just, yeah, since then it's been mostly yard signs. I'd say about 70% of Google My Business, yard signs, and just free Facebook stuff
And
has
how
been
many yard signs would you think have you put out in the last year?
maybe 300.
So we're
Not
not
quite, not
talking
quite.
thousands of yard signs. We're talking less than 500 yard signs to make $100,000.
No, I try to hit the 25 a week, and try to rotate between areas, and a lot of times they're still there if you pick good spots, and try to. I even brought a weed eater with me before. That way, you cut a big circle around where you are if you know that it hadn't been cut yet.
But
But
that's thinking, because now that it's going to help save that and keep that from growing up too, and help that with that. So that's not
yeah,
a bad thing. So with that, with the marketing side, obviously 300, 400 yard signs, that goes pretty quickly of getting money coming in. Um, have you tried? So you said you've done some Facebook ads and different things, but that's not really how you've grown it, is it?
no, no, but I think it's going to play a role in moving forward.
Somebody
No,
here, MTH, just put props to you guys in Facebook groups. We were kicked out and blocked by over a dozen. They see a business and they kick us out, send the admin an email, and the reason why. But this is why we don't go into Facebook groups and just be like, "Hey, I'm a pressure washer. I'm a pressure washer," right?
no, yeah,
Um,
you
what
got to
are
follow.
some tips that you've used to be able to not get kicked out?
I don't really post about pressure washing in a lot of them. Some of them already have rules. Like a lot of them have something called like whatever Wednesday, and you get certain hours a day where you can post about your business. But other than that, I just make sure that I'm always commenting on something that somebody has. They'll share a picture of their new boat or something they did in their yard, and it just be a constant presence. And then I recommend other people all the time. Like if somebody's like, who knows whatever, like I will call around and find an answer to give them if I don't know somebody. That way I have a reason to be posting in there. Or I'll come up a good way to also just have engagement is like you can ask for those things yourself. even if you're not necessarily looking for them, you're not wasting anybody's time unless you call them and ask them for a quote. But I'd be like, I need a plumber, and then you get 12 people will comment because it. I mean, people get fired up about different services, or don't call this guy or call that guy. They get a lot of engagement.
So how did you get into those groups?
Just searching around the area, asking other people. Um, you can go in whatever your town is. Just type in, like me, it's Winchester. I'll type in like Winchester, community, Winchester 411, or buy, sell, trade. It's just all of those. Some of them are duds. Some of them are trash. Like there's towns around us where it's just nothing but people complaining about the traffic or the cost of living or something. But there's some that are really good, and they're gold. They're worth your time.
Yep. I'm gonna hit. I'll be up to Facebook because I've got people. Adam, what kind of equipment did you have to use to do the hospital? But did you have like some big fancy rig, or what did you end up having then?
At that point in time, I had I had an 8 gallon pressure washer. I built like a Harbor Freight rig myself, and then I had a gas diaphragm roof pump, which I'm pretty sure I ruined on that job. I had to replace it, um, but that kept me off of a lift, and also it was like a weird building. It's kind of stacked like a cake, so even if you had a lift, it wouldn't have helped you up high. So we sent 500 feet of hose up the side of this building. And I had my brother up on top of that thing for 8 hours straight. But you know, it
Get
was
it
nine.
done.
We did it in a day and a half. So
That's right. You got to just get it done.
yeah,
I just started a Facebook group for small businesses and service companies in Eastern Central Kentucky. The plan is to network there with other people and grow the group as one stop shop for people looking for service areas. And this is not a bad idea. This is actually a pretty smart thing to do. And if you can find other like minded business owners that are willing to do this, and then you can all push each other together and promote each other and help each other out. And whenever you help everybody, that always helps everybody in the end. So, I was listening. Actually, I've been putting some motivational stuff in my mentor group, and today was talking about. It was TD Jakes talking about how we don't want to be around like-minded people, right? In my circle, I don't want just all pressure washers, right? I want other people, because if I'm just around all people like me, then they're all going to compete for me and try to overcome me and be me and all that kind of stuff. And this is why we need to have a circle that has doctors and lawyers and preachers and coaches and all these different people, and now we can build each other up, and now we can all go forward and we can all push forward versus just being all like me, right? I don't want everybody to be like me. I want people to be different, and I want you to be going for whatever you're trying to do to keep pushing forward. Mr. Al, I'm going to hit on this one because I always like Al and poking at Al. I was depressed earlier in the month of July. Business became slow, like always in July, but I always diversify my services. Just finished an $8,000 deck restoration and made 7,000 in 13 hours. It's pretty good. This is a great one. Where did you put up your signs at, or how did you? Can you talk about where you put your signs at?
yeah. Actually, I put quite a bit of thought into where I put my signs, and this might resonate more with people who do any sort of like hunting and trapping. Is that I'm getting on maps and I'm e-scouting. I'm looking for choke points. So if you know who your customer is and where they live or whatever neighborhood that you're targeting, go punch in an address in that neighborhood and get the directions to Walmart, get the directions to the nearest grocery store, get the directions to the interstate, and find out where they're going. And you'll quickly see that there's choke points that you can put these signs at. But along with that, I have found that some of the best signs have been ones that I got inside the neighborhood. I mean, obviously, it's best if you can get it in someone's yard and keep it there because that's just a standing referral from their neighbor. But if there's like a wooded area or just kind of like a no man's land, I mean, I'll be honest, some of them are kind of gray areas. They get pulled, they get thrown away. I've had a couple people call me and ask why I put my sign there, and it's no big deal. But yeah, inside the neighborhood is great, and then I try to hit some choke points that may be between, because you can get several neighborhoods that are going through that area. So you can hit them 2, 3 times on their way to work if you just plan out. If you're targeting that house and I want to get that person 2, 3 times on their way to work, where would I have to put signs?
So I love signs, obviously, moneybushes.com. They work really well. But let's move on a little bit. Let's move on a little bit here and learn a little bit more about Adam. Of what are some things in the last year that you've had to overcome? What are some things? Actually, I'm going to pull back here. So we had talked about this earlier too, and and you had said some things that helped you grow to what you've done now. And what are some things that you've done that has helped you grow your business in the last year?
Education, 100%. I mean, just learning more about sales, learning more about marketing, more about just how to talk to people um, and run the business
And what
side
are
of things.
some things of education wise have you done to be able to learn to do that better?
I've always got a book or a podcast in my ear. I don't listen to music when I'm working. I hardly listen to music in the car. It's all books. Every time I hear Jason or somebody on podcast recommend a book, I put it on a list and I listen to it. I mean, you're not gonna be able to take notes on everything and retain every bit of little information, but you get a little nugget from everything, every book you listen to or read or whatever, and
And so,
it'll
how
change.
many books have you read in the past year?
I need to add it up. I think it's at least 20.
And
Um,
how many books had you read before that?
just I don't know, textbooks in college, like it's engineering books.
And so, what are some things that what are some books that you would recommend people to listen to that you've listened to that has helped you grow?
All the big ones. E Myth is a good one. The, what's the one? What's the one you recommended to me about a week or two ago? It's Thinking Big. What's that one? Who
The
I can't
Magic
remember
of
the author.
Thinking Big.
Yes, it's like he's speaking exactly. I didn't even know it was written in 1950 or whatever, but it covers everything. It's like how to take somebody off the street and turn them into an entrepreneur. Like, I mean, they talk about it's everything. It's sales, it's personal presentation. It's a fantastic book. I've been flying through that one. I'll listen to that a couple times. I've listened to Zig Ziglar, Grant Cardone. Um, what's another Jocko's book, the leadership one? That's a phenomenal book.
The Magic of Thinking Big, like you said, was written in the 1950s, and it's like it's written for you literally for today.
Yes, yes,
And it is definitely something that we all have excuses, and he kind of goes over that in the book of you're too oldism or you're too youngism or
yeah,
all these different excuses that you can use. And it is literally probably one of my favorite books to read. And if you're ever just starting to be an entrepreneur or just whatever, it's an amazing book, and I would highly recommend you read this book. You can, if you don't want to buy it on Audible, you can literally go get it for free off of YouTube, and listen to it for free off of YouTube. So I don't want no excuses of why you can't listen to it, because you can listen to it for free on YouTube, and it will change your life. It'll change your mindset. It'll change all of that kind of stuff. And so with that, reading books, how has that helped you grow in the last year?
I mean, other than just taking some of the information from it, um, I think there's some value in just hearing somebody else's well put together thoughts on any particular subject. Like they say, you become like the people you're around. Well, you can also become like the things that you read and listen to, and they help. I mean, they help change you in ways that you didn't even know was happening. And like I said, you may only get a little nugget of information, but um, and I've hardly taken any notes on these books, but my sales just ability and presentation and talking to customers has. I mean, it used to be that I would just like shove them the quote, and I didn't even want to talk to them. I was too scared to, or something. I didn't want to hear them say no. Well, if you don't talk to them, like it's going to be a silent no. You just won't hear anything at all.
Right.
So,
Um,
not being afraid of that rejection too. Like I didn't work with a lot of people before being in engineering. So that's been something I have to overcome.
So let's hit on that because talking to a robot versus talking to a human was probably a pretty big change for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I never had to sell to anybody before. I mean, not really. Now having read all the books that I have now, everything's a sale. But at the time, it was just
So when you transitioned from talking to a robot to talking to people, what were some challenges that you had to overcome? What are some mindsets that you had to overcome?
just the broke DIY mindset that I always had. I've always done everything myself. I changed my own oil. I still change my own oil in the driveway. That's going to change pretty soon. We'll get some
Let
maintenance on, but yeah, it's just getting over that. It's been huge.
And one thing that you did a couple weeks ago, you were saying that you hired somebody to come into your house and you kind of had that
Oh,
experience. What how do you feel that has helped you be able to grow as a business versus always just doing it yourself?
yeah, it's like never. I've never seen the other side of the equation. I've never hired anybody for anything other than like having an air conditioner fixed
And
because
so
I
what
know.
did you hire out that you could have done that you hired out?
Oh, it was a house cleaning. It was May. We were pretty slammed that week. I had house guests coming in, and I really didn't have time to clean the house. And I had also been thinking about like how do I get in and network with some of these people in these neighborhoods. Like I said, I live around a lake, so there's a lot of these neighborhoods where people are coming in. Just seasonally, but there's like one constant is they're all having their house clean. Um, so I started calling all. I got into the Facebook group and I was like, who looking for recommendations for house cleaners, and then I called every single one of them, and I paid attention to how they answered the phone, how they sent
How
me a
many
quote.
answered the phone?
Less than half, I think. Yeah, yeah, it was surprising.
And how many gave you a quote after you lost half of them that didn't even answer the phone?
I think the only person I got two prices out of like the I don't know how many I called and ended up hiring one of the two. Um,
And
so
this,
yeah,
it,
just answering the dang phone and being in yeah, opportunity dances with those on the dance floor. So get out there.
Absolutely. Jason has helped me to the point next year I'm considering a lawn care. Here's the thing. How much is it costing you to go out there to do a 15-hour, maybe a $50 an hour task that you could have sent out emails or you could have went out there and did a Facebook Live and made more money by doing that or sent an email out, right? You could have sent an email or a voice bomb or a text blast versus you out there mowing the grass every day. And so a lot of people look at, even as solo entrepreneurs or that, a lot of times we're looking at how can we hire people to work in the business so that we can get these tasks done. But you know what? You might be able to hire a task of mowing your grass, and that's going to give you 2 hours a week that you don't have to worry about it anymore. Or even a house cleaner. Or, if your wife works in the business, maybe you hire a house cleaner. Maybe she's better on the phone than she is on the in the house cleaner, right? Cleaning the house, or that hour, and it's not only you're saving that hour or 2 hours of doing that task of mowing the grass. Mowing the grass is probably the biggest one, especially for us guys. Mowing the grass, that's not a hard task, but a lot of times we're taking that mental space, and it might be dumb mental space that we do mowing the grass. But what if we were sending an email out then? What if we were doing different things to be able to do productive things in our business that will help us keep us moving forward? Because you might think, well, it's just mowing the grass, but just mowing the grass, there's a reason why you're doing not having mental space. I still mow my grass. I enjoy mowing my grass. And that's a time that I get to listen to podcasts, especially because I don't get to listen to podcasts like I used to. When I was a full time fireman, every third day I got an hour down, hour back. I got to listen to podcasts all the time. I don't get that time anymore. So that's kind of my one time a week that I get to listen to podcasts. And that's kind of my la la land that I go out into. Now, is it a task that I probably should be paying somebody? Probably. but is it a task that I use it now for so that I can be able to learn and keep learning and keep growing? I take a walk every morning. That's when I listen to my book usually. Other than that, I don't have that time to be able to do that. And so when we need to do those things, this is how we're able to do it. If you're still on the truck, is a great time that you can listen to books, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to educational stuff and learn and grow as you're listening. Take those things and start doing it. You know, you know, a year ago, I'm gonna go back to this 106,000. When you start in July of last year, did you think that you, Adam Wonder, could do $100,000 in 1 year, your very first year?
No, no, and I definitely didn't think that I could do it as close of a radius to home as I did. I was like, I'm gonna have to punch. I'm gonna have to be an hour out. But I was like, we'll figure it out. But it hasn't been an issue. There's more money than you think there is in whatever area, because I did 106 in my area, and I have a very friendly competitor I haven't asked him what he did, but I think he's done about the same. And so there's no shortage. It's there. You got to find it. It's going to be in little pockets, little neighborhoods.
Mr. Greg put, I just want to say, boom, shoot your shot, send that message. Don't that follow up. It will happen. Life changing. That's Mr. Greg Townsend. We were actually talking about you before we got on here because he's kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it
Yeah.
is one of those things, right? It is one of those things because when you told me you were going full time last year at the Huge when you first met me, I'd seen you were on some of my Zoom calls and stuff, but when I actually met you in live. Real life at the Huge, you were scared of still even then in August because I remember you were like, I hope this is going to work. I think this is going to work. I'm going to
Yeah.
try and see if this is going to work. And you've done it. You've done it, and you haven't even pushed what you could do. Right? You haven't even. You're just at the tip of the iceberg of what you can do. And a lot of times we think, oh, I'm just a pressure washer. I'm just a guy in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, but yet you doing it and you're changing what you can do, right? You went from a $70,000 job, so you were probably making about 35,000 after taxes, and did $106,000 your very first year, and that is impressive. That's an impressive thing, and it can be done, and it can be done in the middle of nowhere, right? We don't have to be in Nashville, downtown Nashville. We don't have to be in some major city. Does that help? Yes, that helps, but you don't have to be in those areas to be able to pull big numbers.
Mhm. Absolutely.
One thing that I think can help Adam, and I even told him this last year, if I remember, is you will do well because you've come from making good money. You came from making $70,000 a year. It's easier for me to teach somebody that has made six figures or that has made 70,000 versus somebody that's making $20 an hour. It's a lot harder for them to understand that people will pay $1,050 for an average ticket, and that's pretty awesome that you can find. You found 22 people that on average paid $1,051. That's impressive. That's when you think about that, that's amazing and that's impressive, and that can be done. And you're not trying to do window cleaning, you're not trying to do interior, you're not trying to do a bunch of the other stuff. You're just sticking with pressure washing, exterior window cleaning, and roof cleaning. And
Yep.
that is the amazing thing of how you can grow your pressure washing business. How to sell a customer on soft washing. Are there any key points to make the customer if they are hesitant on applying chemicals? How do you handle that, Adam?
I don't talk about it. They say, I saw your sign. I need you to come pressure wash my house. And you're like, yes, ma'am. I'd be more than happy to give you a quote. They want their house clean. They don't care about sodium hypochlorite, soft wash. Every now and then they'll ask, they'll be like, now it's not going to kill my plants, are they? And then you just give them just confident, be like, we're going to do. It's our number one priority to protect your property and your plants.
Yep.
You know?
And
So
this is kind of one of those questions that we worry about we're trying to sell on chemicals and we're cleaning the house, and that's not how the best way to sell these stuff. How often are we talking about cleaning and how we the process of cleaning versus how are we building that relationship with people?
Yeah, it's way more about the customer relationship than, I mean, you'll have a few every now and then that are just, you know, real detail oriented and they want to know every little step of the process and they'll ask you, but you don't need to go out of your way to tell them. They want you to clean their house.
And this kind of goes back to why I like having females on the phone, because they don't have a clue how to clean the house. They just know that it's done and it's what it is. And so, this is important for us to understand that you don't have to sell on how the product is. You're selling on how, you're selling on relationship at the end of the day. If somebody
Mm.
knows, likes, and trusts from you, they'll buy from you. What's going on, Jason? And the other guy, Adam, just came in. Haven't got your name. Here's Adam. I'm glad to get the chance to watch your live, Jason. Awesome, Dustin. Tell them soft washing uses low pressure detergent to aldehyde or clean damage. Never say the B word. His name is Adam, and he's killing it. $106,000 the first year, which is awesome. And so, with that, what's your goal for the next year? What's your goal for the next 12 months?
Well, I'll just sit down and do some more goal setting, but for 2022, when I met you at the Huge, I think I said my goal was, I can't remember, 75 or 100, and you're like, no, it needs to be 150. Well, that's going to be very reachable. So we're going up 200 plus for next year. And if you go, yeah, like you said, you look at my numbers and how many jobs I did, I have a ton of capacity open. It's there. There's room for it. I just need to, dial in the other, add more funnels and get more leads and, raise prices. I'm
Yep.
going to do both, go up on prices and up on leads.
It's awesome. Raise your price and people still pay it. I watched a doc for $300 beginning of the summer. Used CRM to send out emails prior to the 4th. He showed it to his friend, and I did my largest house wash of $5,000 this week. My phone rang, answered it. I have $3,700 driveway from answering that. You start finding your target, your higher end clients, and doing good work. Market to them, and it's crazy what happens. Um, and you know what? That's answer your phone. Obviously, is the number one big thing. But even where you did a $300 doc, and then and then you market to him, and then he gave referrals. Referrals are an amazing thing. Referrals and repeats. If you're not working your referrals and your repeats, you're losing out on a lot of money. And how can I work on on my repeats? Well, one is we use a CRM, right? We are not just putting this information in there for it to hold all this information. We can send emails, we can do voice bombs, we can do text blasts. We can do all that to our past customers. And yes, that's a past customer of this year. This isn't even a past customer from last year. This is a past customer from this year. And when we do these things, then he got a $5,000 house wash by doing an email blast or an email to somebody that is his past customer of this year. So when I tell you to email, I'm not telling you to email just for my breath to tell you to. I'm trying to get you to get more money. And so this is a low hanging fruit that it doesn't cost you that much at all. Even if you did a text blast to 3,000 people, you're probably only looking at, a couple $100. And then you might say, well, Jason, I don't have a couple thousand. I know Riley, Riley just started. He don't have 1,000 people. He probably only got a couple hundred, maybe even less than 100. And by him doing this one thing, he's got a referral from it. And so a $300 beginning of the summer, and then did a prior email to 4th of July. He showed it to his friend and did a 4,000, almost a $5,000 job. I have a 3,700 from answering that. So these are some things that when we answer the phone, this is what happens. We get higher tickets. We can grow our business. You can do things, and then you can make $106,000 in a year. You can have $23,000 Junes, you can have high dollar months, and because you're doing the things that you need to do to grow your business. It isn't about, oh, what I need to do. I just showed you that he did 147 jobs and do $106,000. How do we get that 145 jobs? Usually I talk even more than that just to hit a $10,000 month. But when you do $1,000 average tickets, guess what? You don't need that many jobs. And when we don't need that many jobs, this is how we can grow our business. This is how you can take just an ordinary Adam from Tennessee, middle of nowhere, Tennessee, that didn't have no sales training, didn't have no customer service training. He was an engineer. They think completely different than anybody else in the world. They think on who knows what. They think numbers. They think how to tear stuff up, how to fix it back. That's how they think. They don't think about how to sell. They don't think how to do any of those things. But he was able to do $106,000 by able to bring the things that he's learned. One thing that was the best thing he probably ever did was join King of Pressure Wash and take my course and get into Monday marketing calls and get into my mentorship and keep learning, and I keep pushing him. I mean, I'm not saying that out loud too much, but no, but I've got everything out there that if you don't feel like you want to do that, you can literally, I've got pretty much everything in here that you can learn through what I give out for free. But what I always learned is when you get stuff for free, usually you close your mind and you don't think about it. But when you pay, usually it opens something up in there and you start learning. And I don't care if you take my course or somebody else's course, or marketing course or any of that kind of stuff. Can you learn how to do Facebook ads on YouTube? I guarantee you. I can probably find the people that have the best course out there, have the videos in behind it. But if you paid for it, you will probably get a better return on it. How about Google Ads? I bought the Google Ad course for $14, but then I went and I learned way more when I paid three, four, or it was like almost $1,000 for the course. And then my nights in the hotel, I learned way more by doing that. And it wasn't even as detailed as the course that I took. But it was because I took that time and I took money out of my wallet, and things happen when we do that. And I'm not trying to say go buy my course. I don't care if you buy it or not. That's up to you. That's not up to me. Like I said, I told you how the magic of thinking big. You literally can go get it for free. But you know what? Honestly, I would rather you go pay the $14 to the audiobook, just so that way you might open your brain up a little bit more and think about it. You can go get it for free, but I would rather you pay the $14, because I'd say you'll get twice as much information out of it, and you'll be more likely to finish it than, oh, I got this free book on here, right? Oh, I got this free book, and Jason said it's good, but I don't want to listen to that. I don't have time for that. It's a video. I don't. Go buy the $14 book. Or if you like to read books, some people like to go read books. Jason, I don't. I got books I got books here all over the place that I've been to give it, and I don't read any of them, right? Because I can't read that way. I can't understand how to read that way. How I listen is how I listen to. Listening to a book, it just soaks right in. I can tell you all about the book. If I tried to read a book, I could read a page and I couldn't tell you what's on the page. And so that's how I read books. Can I get them for free? Yeah. I still pay for my books. Why? Because I know I'm more likely to listen to it and bring in more information by me having to pay a little bit of opening my wallet. Because if I'm willing to open my wallet, usually I'm willing to open my brain. And I know I'm not hitting on this, but it is something that makes a difference. He went to the huge. He went to the huge, and that was in the middle of August. And he spent $300 to get in the door. He spent 2 nights, 3 nights there, which was, that was probably, it was like $200 a night for the hotel. So he spent over $1,000 to go to the huge convention, and he had only made $1,700 in July, and he only did $7,800 in there. But how much information did you learn by just going to the huge convention, Adam?
So much, a ton. If you go pay extra and get the recordings too, because you're not going to be able to go to everything. There's so much. And then don't be shy, talk to people. I mean, I met a guy who's just kind of the same size as me, works out of Nashville, and he was telling me about concrete sealing. We just like happened to call me up a few months ago and was like, "Hey, did you get into concrete sealing yet?" And I was like, "Nah, I still need to. I've been dragging my feet." And I talked some more about it, and then I was like, "You know what? Let me try to sell some jobs." And then I did $2,700 job right off of that. So doubled what I spent on that huge convention just from having met that one person. And that's just that one thing. It is, you know, that's just the only measurable thing. All the other business stuff that you get from it is phenomenal. And that was a lot of money to me at that time. Like you're saying, it was like $1,000, $1,500. Like I had just quit my job, got nothing almost on the books. I had some money saved up. I just paid 10 grand cash for a new truck. So, I wasn't flush with cash at that point in time, but that's the
But out of
best.
that $1,000, would you have said you would have 10x that money that you learned from there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it ain't even about the classes individually, right? It's about the networking, right? It's about
Yeah.
rubbing shoulder. I mean, we got to sit there and talk. You listen to me as I talk to other people. And you got to see people where you want to be at, right? We got to see people that are with you that are just starting, and you also got to see people at, $1 million.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I sat next to one of them at the opening, keynote. I was sitting next to a guy, a young man, and he was, started talking to me, and I was like, well, maybe I give this kid some advice. Yeah, it turns out his name is Wesley Blom, and he does over $1 million a year. He was telling me, he's like, "Is this your first year?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is my sixth year." He's like, "I will always come back." He's like, "There's always something more to learn." And then I didn't realize who he was till he stood and walked away. And he's like, his wash jersey said "Wise Guys" on it. I was like, "That's the guy." I was like, "I've seen him on Jason's podcast." But yeah, you get to meet everybody. Just yeah, all walks of life and stages of the process, and almost everybody's. Well, I haven't found anybody who's not willing to share their story.
yeah, and Wise Guy's going to do 2.5 million this year.
Nice.
But just somebody that you sat next to and you thought, oh, I'm gonna help this dude out, and he gave you a wealth of information probably, and just learning from that, and just having that conversation goes a long ways.
Hmm.
Mr. Ray Burke is in the house. I don't know if he still is, but marketing secret ATDP. Answer the dang phone. I can't preach that enough, man. I cannot preach that enough. I answered my phone 3 times a day, and it was Angie's. Yelp acting like customers. Yeah, you got to deal with that crap too. I just started my pressure washing business. I feel like I'm pricing too low. Raise your prices. Do you quote based on job or by square foot? If square foot, what do you charge? Um, so square foot, if you're doing house washes, you want to be anywhere from about 20 to 35 cents a square foot. House washing, same thing. I'd like you to be around the 30 cents a square foot. If you're doing roof cleaning, you're going to be up to the 40 to 50 cents a square foot. I literally put my skid up for sale and was going to quit a week ago. Keep pushing. Also, Jason, shoot me a message. I want to share a picture of that place. Awesome. Keep pushing, dude. I raised my prices in June. Close rate is still steady at 30% and average ticket up. People will pay more. Yes, they will. References are the best. People trust you so much because their friends or family members have used you in the past. It does help.
As long as those references aren't from where you underprice something, because references like word of mouth will send you down just like different rabbit holes, and you don't want to go down the cheap rabbit hole because they're great customers. They love you. They'll tell everybody about you. They'll tell, let's say they can't afford not to hire you because you wash their house for $180. I've been down that road every 2 3 weeks of that, where you got a ton of referrals, but it's because you know everybody's getting the better end of the deal.
The free information out there is killing the industry. Jason, people don't value and apply the info if they have no skin in the game. And it's true. 100% true. That makes sense. I'll definitely start a minimum. And you do need to do a minimum. Tips on getting commercial work. Um, yeah. LinkedIn, email marketing, all that good stuff. Not only the education at the job, but reference contacts and networking opportunity. You can't put a value on that. And that's a good point. This is something that Actually, I just seen Jeremy Main. Thanks for the super chat. But he just joined the Chamber of Commerce, right? Joining network groups is a huge thing you can do. I see a lot of people be like, "Well, I don't want to go join a apartment association. That cost me $1,000." So you're willing to let $1,000 keep you from $100,000 job or a $500,000 job, because $1,000, that's too much. I can't do that. Or $200 to be at a networking group for the Chamber of Commerce, or that is stuff that is invaluable. You can't put a price on that, man. You can't put a price on going to joining the apartment association. Now, all apartment associations good? No, there's probably some out there that are going to suck. But there will be some out there that will be gold mines that aren't getting touched by other pressure washers because they have this mindset of, well, that's $1,000. I can't spend $1,000, right? And so those are some things that we have to look at. Wesley Rocks. Big Rob, the wrap on my Toyota is throwing haymakers everywhere I go. I need to put a 10-foot flag on the back. Mr. Mike Manning, how you doing? You should buy my course. So Jeremy is in my mentorship, and he's actually killing it. He's got him a new building that he's growing or going to be moving into, and we always make fun of buying my new course. It's pretty fun. True about the cheap referrals. We got Mr. Tristan. What up, Coach? Um, got a letter from one of my apartment customers want me to join the vendor cafe. Anyone know about that? I don't know what that is. I just sold a house wash to a finance guy when I bought my Toyota, and then sold another wash to the service manager when I brought it in for service. uh, this is another good book. I don't know if you've read this book, but Tristan just finished $100 million offers. Give me another book to read. If you haven't read The Magic of Thinking Big, you need to read that one, Tristan. That's the book I would tell you to read. I know I've talked about it, but the $100 Million Offer is a great book. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend you to read that. It's a book that will help you understand how to make offers. And so that is definitely something. If you haven't read The Magic of Thinking Big, you really need to read that book. It's a great book. Um, get known as the cheap guy, and you're the cheap guy.
Mm-hmm.
Business in Pennsylvania. Any good information for washers who have long winters? Yeah, it's called Christmas lights. That's what that's called. Or it's called you got to make enough in 8 months to live for 12 months. And you got to be like a squirrel and put your money away so you can get through those 3, 4 cold winter months. But Christmas lights are stupid in Pennsylvania. There's more money in Christmas lights than you could ever think. And if you're thinking about doing that, go to kingofpressurewash.com, and there you can go to in-person training. I am having a training coming up in Indianapolis. I will also have two down in Raleigh, North Carolina. So before we jump off here, what are some words of advice that you would give to a new guy?
There's a lot of point, and this probably never ends. Jason, you can probably speak to this, but when you learn new things and try new stuff, you have to break through. You're breaking through some threshold, whether that be pricing or talking to customers, or some people even just like putting out door hangers or something, or if it's a job you've never done before. I mean, I remember the first time I ever did a roof job, I was trying to put a ladder together in my garage. I remember sitting there like on the stoop in there, and I was just overwhelmed. I was like, what did I get myself into? I was like, I can't do this. It's not that you don't know how to do something, you just don't know how to do it yet. So I mean, I'm in a place now where I can say yes to things, the jobs that I've never even done, and I don't lose any sleep over them. I'm like, yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, somebody's done this before, and having groups like this and networking with other people, that can help you. I mean, it's huge getting over that. Just getting over that overwhelming fear that you get when just of the unknown, whether it be there's not jobs next week, or we've got this big thing that we haven't done before, or I'm not quite sure what chemicals. Like, you'll figure it out. That'll come.
Awesome. And that's a hard one because we think we know everything, or we think we got to know everything, right?
Yeah, you know,
That's where people get into this business and they're like, oh, I got to know everything about pressure washing and everything about the equipment. And they go and they dump all their money in there, and then they wonder why they can't get no business, because they've dumped nothing in the marketing. They've dumped nothing in investing in themselves and learning the other things about the business, right? I always say I've taught many 18, 19-year-olds how to run my truck and make me $250,000 a year on that truck, within a month. But that's not how I get to that $500,000, 250,000. How do I get there? Is by doing the things that are the hard things, and some of the things of talking on the phone, answering the phone, how to do sales better, how to upsell, how to do packages. That's where the gold is, right? That's where a business owner is a business owner. You know, you can have, actually, I got a video, I haven't put it up yet, but you can have a pressure washing job. You can have that, and you'll be the cheap guy, and you'll make enough to be the cheap guy, and you'll make 20, 30, $50 an hour, and you think you're doing good. And that's called a pressure washing job. We want a pressure washing business. With a pressure washing business, it's going to run itself. It's going to have stuff coming in called profit, and we're going to know our numbers, and we're going to learn how to do those things, and those are what the important part of running this business is. The side of the equipment, that kind of stuff, that's the hard part. That's the easy part. The hard part is running the business, and that's a great point. One last thing: what is a book would you recommend somebody read, um, for people reading?
um, one of my one of my favorites is Extreme Ownership. There's just a lot of life lessons that you can pull from there. That it's just one of those things. It's not directly a sales book. It's not directly a management book. It's just talking about just core leadership principles, and it's really entertaining to read, especially for somebody who's like, if you're into like action movies or something. I mean, you got a group of Navy SEALs who went into some of the most kinetic battles in modern history, like Ramadi, Fallujah. I mean, these are the guys who were running with, um, like American Sniper, like movies like were made about these people, and they're telling those stories, and then they'll go and they'll apply it to a civilian situation, and it's just a really good book. There's some things in there. The biggest thing that stuck out from that for me is without giving too much of the book away, one of the stories they talk about was in Buds. They do these boat races where they're rowing boats, and it's just a torture exercise. They're making them race each other. They took the last place boat and they switched the leader from the first place boat, and that last place boat came up to like third or second. And it's just like stuff like that, opens your eyes, and you like think back when you've seen that in life. You're like, where you had a bad manager or whatever. But there's a ton of little nuggets like that in there.
And you're ready to kill somebody when the book's over.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you might want to go to the recruiting office after, so be careful. You might end up swearing in.
I highly recommend the book. It's a great book. Again, that's one of my favorite books because it is about leadership. And a lot of people ask me, how do I go from 100,000 to a 500,000 or 1 million? And it comes down to leadership. How do we become a better leader? I don't want to stay on here too much longer, but Jeremy was asking me, he got to go see, Randy Beesman, and he's an amazing leader. And by having an amazing leader, he has amazing businesses. And when you become an amazing leader, that is how you grow from the 100,000, 200,000 to the higher end. I've got people at the 200, 250,000 people, and they're struggling right now because they can't grow more. Why can't they grow more? Because they can't get off the truck. They can't bring people in and trust people to run their business for them. And so it's a tough spot to be. It is not easy to be in that position. Now, if you're happy, some people are meant to make this much and that's all you're ever going to make. And some people aren't meant to be leaders. You can be a leader, and that is what you have to do. You have to be a leader. You can't be a person and trying to do it all yourself, because once you hit you can do $250,000 a year by yourself, and it's not really that hard at the end of the day. If you want to get to the 500,000, the million, the 3 million, it's all about leadership. It's all about putting the right people in the right place, and you can do amazing things. Because you might think that, man, Jason, I'm the best there is. There ain't nobody can clean as good as I can. There ain't nobody. You will never grow to where you want to be at. So to be able to put people in the right place, and to, when you have a team, and it kind of goes back to not even so much about having employees, having a team, right? Because when you call your employees a team, you will get a lot more out of them than calling them a, a an employee, because an employee just sounds like a checkbox, right? That's just another number. But hey, you're part of the team. When we talk about football team, it's a team. It's not these players. It's a team that makes up the football player. You could have the most amazing quarterback out there, but if you don't have a team to back him up or somebody to catch the ball, it's team effort. And so that's how we have to be able to do that. Ray just put, how do you motivate your team? That's how you grow. And that is so true. And lead or stay on the truck. And it is so true. This was the hardest thing for me to do, was get off the truck. I worked almost 3.5 years before I could get off the truck, because it was a tough thing for me to do. But once I did, that's when we started exploding. So with that, Adam, thank you for coming on. Again, go check out King of Pressure Wash. I have some training coming up in Indianapolis. I have a Christmas light training. If you haven't done Christmas lights, you're thinking about doing Christmas lights, I have the training coming up in Indianapolis. It's an amazing thing. I also have 2 classes in Raleigh, one in September and one in October, and they're both pressure washing Christmas lights. Thank you for coming on. And other than that, you got any last words?
No, just stay consistent and trust the process.
Awesome. See y'all later.